Market update on the 21st. So, huge down day. Powell was hawkish. Pretty ambiguous too. Didn't really say what was going to happen in the future. Market doesn't like that. We sold off hard. Down 1.44%. We are in demand, but I don't think that that's going to matter that much right now. You can see pre-market we're actually at 363.05, which is below this demand zone. So when you sell off hard like that, it's kind of hard to even rely on these supply and demand zones as much. So I'll still leave them up there, but they're not going to matter as much. We have gap fill here at 377 and 382, of course. It's still possible, and I was going through some scenarios, still possible that this is some kind of falling wedge. But I'm not really putting that much weight into it when I look at the individual charts. This would have to be basically something like this down here probably, and then we'd bounce, and then we'd come back down here. Or it would bottom right here and we'd make another move higher, kind of what the move I was talking about before, where it would be ABC like that. So I guess that's possible, but I think looking at the individual charts, that is more than likely we already started the decline down to potentially that gap fill at 332. So that gap fill is at the exact 1.61 fib. Pretty much. A little bit past it, but pretty much at the gap fill here at 332. So I think that that is actually a legitimate target, and we'll see how it plays out. This is kind of hard to figure out what the waves are on this one. It could be a 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're in an extended fifth wave. That makes the most sense to me, where this would actually be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 like that. That would mean we're probably going to go down to maybe, let's see, this one's in a third wave of a third wave. We're probably looking at somewhere around, well, we're already below that free market, so 363, and then probably bounce a little bit, and then maybe go down even farther. This was about $5, so we could see something in the 358, 360 range if it keeps on going down. If that happens, then I would say that's probably a wave 1. So the 1.61 fib here is at 361.68. So maybe that'll be another target as well. And if that's only wave 1, or it could be wave 3, but if it's wave 1, then we're looking at something that could potentially go down 352, bounce, go lower to 347, or maybe even lower than that, 345, and then you're looking at something like this. Basically, that's the way it would look. And yeah, that would hit about the 1.61 fib. And so overall, I think this first wave could be about finished. Maybe down here to 361, like I said. And then that will leave a little bit more people confused, because it would be the 1.61 fib of this. So then you still have the potential of it being ABC. But I feel like that is probably not going to happen now. I feel like we're already off to the races lower. I could be wrong. It could bounce up here to gap fill here at 377 and 382. But when I look at the individual charts, let's get into like the individual charts here. One that I just did in depth was Google. So, oh, and I didn't mention on QQQ, the weekly moving averages are going to be pretty important here. So we have the 20-day right below where we're at right now. So 20-day is sitting at 362.13. So I would expect us to finish above that today and probably into the week. I would imagine we'd come off here and bounce. It's been a pretty dang big move here. We've gone from 377 to 362 in a week. So it's been a pretty big move for a week. We're at the outside of the Bollinger Band, so I would expect to get some kind of bounce off the weekly and then probably a wave 2. So let's say even if we come down below that, let's say we come down here to 360 and then we bounce from the end of the day, then I would be looking still for a bounce to 370, potentially all the way up here to 377, but probably 370 to 372. And then I would expect that next wave down to be the one that would be really big. So this would be wave 1. And you know, Elliott wave, what is the biggest wave in Elliott wave? It's wave 3 of 3. So this move right here would be the biggest. This is probably the move that would take us down to the 340s. And then we would bounce, probably go down here like that, and then of course bounce again and go down lower. So I am expecting a bounce probably later in the day today if we go down lower and hit the 20-day moving average on the weekly. And we'll see what happens, but that's kind of my base case right now. I don't think that we're probably going to come up here to 382. So again, Google, I was going over that, actually is one of the more bullish stocks out of tech. The weekly is actually down here at 126, and the 50-day is down here at 109. The reason I'm all of a sudden using those, it's a good place to look for where correction could go. So looking at this though through Elliott wave on the waves, we have 1, 2, third wave ended right here. You can see clearly 3, 4, 5, 3. We have a gap fill here at 124. Gap fill here at 132. So I would expect this to look basically like this over the next month or so. It's probably going to come down here, probably get some kind of bounce, and then finish down here around 123. That is in between the 0.23 and the 0.38 fib. That would be wave 4. And then I would be looking for another move higher after that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. We still did not gap fill this one at 140. We zoom in here a little bit. I'm only going over this one because I did a lot of charting on it actually, because it's one of the more cleaner tech stocks actually. It moves pretty well. So on Google, we're at 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. We're in the 5th wave of the overall 3rd wave. So maybe a small bounce into the end of the day, or maybe midday and then go lower. Probably going to hit, well, we're already at 133.45 pre-market. So that's probably going to be the end of the 3rd wave. Bounce and then come back down here. We have a demand zone here between 130 and 132. So again, the 1.61 fib of 130 is 124. So I would assume this is probably an A wave. So probably going to run our fall into the end of the week, in my opinion. So that's Google. Amazon is similar to Google, way above its 20-day on the weekly, but has a gap fill right around that. I'm expecting it to hit that here soon. And then that's probably only going to be the A wave as well, just based on how long this could last and how far it could go down. 122 is, I think, let's see here. 122 is, trying to decide where I got that 122 from. I think it's the 1.61 fib of this right here. So if we gap fill right here, there is a gap down here at 115. If you gap fill down here and go down to 129, the 1.61 fib is right around 122. So I would expect the same thing from Amazon. So A, bounce out of demand like that. So looking for 122, that gives it about a 10% dip from here. So 10% lower on Amazon. Google is about 8% lower. And that matches up with QQQ going down to about 332. Let's go over Microsoft. So Microsoft is actually way more bearish than both Google and Amazon because it is below the weekly 20-day. Obviously, all of them are below their 20-day on the daily. But this is below the 20-day on the weekly, and we got the 50-day down here by the gap fill at 282. So I think that unless we get lucky and this bounces up here and fills the gap one more time, which is possible, I think this is probably a wave one. So ABC, likely this is wave one. I think it can go down to 315 to 318, somewhere in that range. And then I would be looking for a bounce probably back to, let's say we go to 315. Let's just do the most extreme one. We're kind of looking over here, I think, in this demand zone right here. So let's just bring that over here. So I would be looking for something probably to hit in this area right here. Let's just say we come all the way down here to the very bottom. You're looking at a minimum bounce of 326.42 to potentially up here at 334. So gotta watch out for, there's a gap up here at 338, but I would be very hard to get up there, I would imagine. Let's just look at where, and then you got this right here. This would end up being, considering this is going down still, this has potential to be the bounce spot right here. On the 4 hour right here, we could go bounce in that area right there. And then you're looking at this basically as wave one, wave two, whoops. You're looking at wave three, way down here, something like that. And you can also let's just see how this works out. And that pretty much goes to the exact same spot. The 1.61 fib goes right in the middle of it, right to the gap fill here at 277. So if you're in Microsoft, then you got to get ready to sell this, or you got to get ready to sell some covered calls or buy protective puts, because for right here at 320, if we're going all the way down to 377 or 277, you're looking at a 13.5% dip from here. And on the waves, it's kind of hard to tell on lower time frames, but again, I would just look in this area right here. Most likely, we're at 319 pre-market. If you're lucky and you're in this stock, then maybe we'll get a bounce earlier than that, but we'll see what happens, I guess. The 1.61 fib of 315 is, I guess, 295. It probably have to come down a little bit past that, bounce, and then go lower. So Microsoft, I'm not liking it that much. There is an alt count. The alt count would be a bounce, and it would actually look like this. It would be the A wave ended right here, because this right here, the C wave, where I have it labeled as C, actually kind of looks like a B wave to me. So this would probably look like this. This is the alt count. There's a gap up here. at 351. Let's just see. This is the alt count, 355. So I don't expect that to happen, but this would actually end up being right here, A, small b, and then we'd be getting a C wave right here. This hits the 1.61 fib. Basically, bounce. I think it ends right here, A, B, C. This is a 5-wave move, and we're getting the C wave down. So in that case, you're coming down here to 317 as well. So that is Microsoft. It's either going to bounce. It's probably going to bounce either way in this area right here. But after it bounces, you're either looking for a move up here or probably just a move back up to like 325, 326. And then you're looking for a humongous move lower. So probably sometime in the next week or so, we're probably going to get that third wave down. Maybe it'll be in early October. We'll see. NVDA. So NVDA is potentially... NVIDIA is a little bit harder to read, but I think that, and I haven't gone over this chart as much. Let's just say this is 3 or C though. And right now, we're currently looking like it is, and it's down pre-market to 418. So 418, this is a third wave right here. So that means that this is a 5-wave move. So NVIDIA is putting in a 5-wave move. I would imagine that they'll stop this before. Let's see here, actually. Let's see. I gotta look at this for a second. So this would have to be 1, 2. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, yeah, this is a nested move. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 down here. This right here is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So we're in the third wave of the final 5th wave lower. So another way of looking at what QQQ is most likely going to do, it's probably going to have a little bit more to go lower. Where are we at now? 362.75. So a little bit more to go lower. Follow this. We're at 418 right now. That's probably going to be the end of the third wave here. Maybe bounce and then go lower. I would imagine that they'll hold it up above this low here at 403. Let's just say this bounces at 418, 422. You're looking at least probably 410, I would say. So 410 takes you down here. Is there a gap fill there as well? There's not a gap fill there. Kind of looks like it could be a demand zone. Doesn't really matter that much. But anyway, 5th wave is about to end. But then again, that is only the third wave. So we know this is not an ABC move now. So if this goes to 410, you're probably going to get a bounce back up here to maybe that area. And then there's a gap fill here at 395. So I would imagine that it hits at least 395 on this move lower. But again, you also have this gap down here. So just look for a bounce probably somewhere below this low to maybe 430, and then you're looking at another you're looking probably at like 380 actually. Now that I'm looking at this, I'm looking at like 380. So 380 on NVDA, and that will be 5 waves, and that would invalidate this move as a first wave. So then you're looking at where is NVDA going, because that's a 5-wave move. 380. Let's see where the 1.61 fib is. And the 1.61 fib takes us all the way down here to this gap fill, almost exactly at 302. So NVIDIA potentially, it might actually, 380 is probably going to end up being around the bottom of this 4th wave. So 4th wave down here, I would say 380, considering that is about 10%, is probably going to be the end right here. So you're probably looking at something like this on the video. Into November, you're probably looking at it like kind of like that. And then you're looking at a bounce, maybe back up here, maybe even all the way up here to 470. Could even do a new high to really confuse people. But then you're looking at a big move lower after that to 306. And that's too far in the distance to even really chart that much. So 380 is my target on NVIDIA. Gap fill here at 395. 10% lower on that as well. So 10% is basically the baseline. A little bit more on Microsoft. And then on Apple, again on the weekly, it's below the 20-day moving average. So where do you think it's going? It's probably going to the 50 at 161. There's a gap fill here at 166. This is barely down today. And actually this looked like 5 waves to me. If you go on the 1 hour or 2 hour, 5 waves. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Apple. This could actually hold up, and then maybe it will bounce back up there. So maybe this will end up being a finishing out of the 2nd wave. So we have 1st wave here, and then we'll get that. So the more I look at this, the more confident I am that this is going down. This is probably A. This is probably A, B, and we're looking for a C wave higher. The 1.61 fib right here is at 183. The 1.61 fib is at 184. Bounce lower and a 5-wave move up to 184. That would be into supply, and then we could make the 3rd wave down. And the target's going to at least be so 163. So 184 to 163, 168. And then I would be looking for potentially 150. Wow. That would be that's almost a 15% for Apple. But again, that's just projections based on, we could get a smaller 5th wave or whatever. There's a gap here at 157 though. I would imagine that's going to get hit as well. Let's zoom out and just see where. And the 1st wave ended at 156. So invalidation for this move is actually at 156. So if it fills this gap, it can't go any lower or it invalidates the whole move. So if this is going to end up being a 5-wave move, then it cannot go lower than this. But it doesn't look good for Apple. But I think short term, it could be in a 2nd wave higher. We're looking for 184 here soon. So I'll leave it at that. Let's look at the dollar actually. Dollar and then the VIX. The dollar is pumping, but not enough for me to really even do that much analysis on it. VIX. The VIX finished above the 20-day on the weekly. Not that technical analysis is very strong on the VIX, but if I'm just looking at this chart, I would imagine that it's probably going to go at least up here to the top of this candle right here to 19. We hit the bottom of it, we should hit the top one more time. So I'll leave it at that for now. Basically, I'm looking for QQQ, which right now is at 362.50, which is right at the weekly 20-day moving average. I'm looking for it to more than likely finish above the weekly 20-day later today. If it keeps on going past the 20-day moving average, then that's not good, obviously. And then I'm looking for a bounce after that. The bounce on QQQ should take it, let's say it goes to 360, 361. We're looking at least 370 probably. And I didn't go over SPY. Let's go over that. This is a long video, but it's a very important video because this is a pivotal time in the market. If you are long, you better be protecting your positions over the next month and a half. So SPY is in the same position, down pre-market. Let's look at the 20-day is sitting here at 436.24. So I would be looking for that to be hit here today. We just want to see it finish above that by the end of the day so it can bounce for a second wave, assuming it is a second wave. And I would be looking for something back up here around 443 to 444. And yeah, same structure as QQQ. So basically in this video, I laid out why I think most of these stocks are probably going to drop at least another 10%. And then QQQ would have about another 10% as well. And yeah, it's not looking good. I would be protecting your positions. And we'll go over it more as it goes on, but I think that today could be a drop in the morning, a bounce in the afternoon kind of day, and then probably a bounce all day tomorrow. Could be wrong, but that's what I see in the charts. So I expect a bounce and then a bounce probably into early next week. And then get ready for the ultra bearish wave 3 of 3, probably coming either late September or early October. That's it for now. Good luck trading. Protect yourselves. Probably going to be a pretty large correction, and you don't want to freak out if you don't know what's going on. That's why it's so important to look at these charts and have an idea of where they're going, so you don't get too freaked out and emotional. Anyway, I'll leave it at that. Good luck trading today. Talk to you in the next video.